right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another session of 30 Minutes With. This is Downtown Spokane's recurring webinar series in which we bring to you local industry experts to talk about some of the more pressing topics of the day. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kevin Campbell, and I'm the Business Relations Coordinator for the Downtown Spokane Partnership. And today I have the pleasure of introducing our featured presenter, Neil Holford. Neil is the owner of Treehouse Deliveries, which is a local owned and operated restaurant delivery service that partners with local restaurants. And with things going on lately, especially in light of the governor's recent announcement to kind of reclose indoor dining, we thought it was a more pertinent time than ever to talk about delivery and talk about the importance of supporting local. So Neil's here to do that. In a moment, I'll pass things over to him. If you have any questions during his presentation, please feel free to just enter them into the chat box. And once we're finished with the prepared portion of things, we'll open things up to a live Q&A too, where you can take yourself off mute and ask any questions, and we can get to any questions in the chat box as well. I'll also note we are, of course, recording this, and so we will be posting this online as well as along with all of our other recorded sessions. So if you'd like to reference or share any of that content, you'll be able to do that. So with that, Neil, I will pass things over to you. Thanks for being with us today. Thanks for taking the time out to do this. We appreciate it. And if you're ready, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, so in light of everything that's going on, we've realized that delivery from a third party is becoming super important for restaurants. And the biggest problem that I've seen and why we started this business is that all the big box options out there, all the national brands are just taking too much from restaurants. And so restaurants are losing sales on every order they put out for delivery instead of being able to make money. And it's especially during the whole COVID thing, since restrictions have been going on. When you use a third-party delivery service, you're kind of counting on recouping that cost down the line by attracting that customer to come back in. But now everybody is just doing delivery or takeout. And so the likelihood of recouping that cost that you're losing is very minimal. And that's why we kind of started up the way we did and kind of pivoted the way that we collect our percentage from restaurants, so that they have more flexibility with controlling their margins and being able to make it past all of this, all the craziness that's going on. Yeah. So a little bit of an overview on kind of how third-party delivery works. Essentially, we go out and we talk to restaurants and we're like, hey, this is the service we're offering. Here's the cost of it. Do you want to get it done? They say yes, no. We go in and then work with them on optimizing their menus on what works for delivery and what doesn't. But yeah, and then we just, we become the center hub of all of the communications for the customer. We're kind of the center point between talking to the customer and the restaurant for everything, so that the restaurant only has to deal with us as kind of like a one main customer, which helps cut down on the miscommunication of things. And then, yeah, works out really well. But that's pretty much it. The biggest thing is that restaurants need to know that they need to be able to make money on every sale that they do with delivery. Sometimes, and with us, definitely, I know that it can happen because that's why people choose us, and that's why a lot of people are switching off of other services. Yeah, pretty short and sweet. Really, delivery's an easy game to talk about. Not much to it, just making sure that restaurants watch their margins. Make sure you make money on every sale.
Yeah, Neil, and if I can jump in here, would you mind kind of expounding on why, you know, in a case like yours where you're this local delivery service, why we should be encouraging businesses, or businesses, I guess, would be behooved to go with Treehouse over something like Uber Eats or other services?
If let's just take one, for example. Let's just talk about Uber Eats and kind of talk about from the economics of where all the money goes with them versus us. With Uber Eats, they're going to go into a restaurant, they're going to talk to them and be like, hey, you can use our service. We have this big old following on our platforms between Eats and rideshare. You get all this exposure, great, but it's going to cost you 30% of your menu price. And then a lot of restaurants can't accept to do that during normal times because they can just write it off as marketing. But that money goes back to corporate Uber and kind of just gets dispersed out and however they want to do it. And then on top of that, they're going to be charging the customer a delivery fee and a 15% service fee. That whole service fee goes back to Uber. The delivery fee may or may not all completely go to the driver, so they're also taking a portion of that. So they're kind of taking, between all the groups involved, the restaurants, the drivers, the customers, they're taking a little bit out of everybody's pot and kind of taking it for themselves. Whereas with Treehouse, the only thing that when we go into a restaurant, all that we're telling them is, hey, we're just requiring 15% of the item cost. And then you guys get to choose how you want that broken up. So the restaurant can choose from 0 to 15% of their menu price and how much they want to cover. And then the rest will be put on the customer as a service fee. That way they're a little bit more control of making money with every sale. So obviously if they make money on the sale, then they can keep doing it and keep their doors open. And then the customer may or may not be paying part of the service fee to help recuperate that cost for to operate Treehouse and the delivery service. And the upside to this is, one, it's cheaper for the restaurant overall, and they can keep their doors open. And two, the money stays in Spokane. The 15% that we get from the restaurant / the customer stays in Spokane with our business. We give the driver the full delivery fee and the tip as their compensation because they're independent contractors, just like with everybody else. The only difference is that with us, they know exactly how much they're getting, and they know that it's a higher rate than everybody else because we're giving the whole fee and the whole tip. And then the only thing Treehouse is making is the 15. Yep. So more money stays in the restaurant. The percentage collected by the delivery service stays in Spokane. The driver makes their full cut of the delivery fee and the tip, whereas other places it just gets siphoned out by a third party, and one way or another from all three parties involved.
Excellent. And you mentioned earlier that you will work with restaurants to kind of optimize their menu for takeout. I know I've seen some restaurants, that have kind of changed up, whether they're just selecting certain things or, creating new items that are a little bit more conducive to takeout. Can you talk about that process, and maybe especially from the eyes of like a business owner who might be a little hesitant or think that their setup doesn't quite work for that, how it probably is achievable for them?
Yeah, I think any restaurant can kind of pivot slightly to have the food and the inventory you have acclimate to being able to do delivery. It's kind of stepping back and just looking at the menu, being like, how can I slightly change this? Because obviously restaurants, first and foremost, care about dining customers and presentation and everything, and that doesn't always translate over to delivery food. So it's kind of like getting the same feel for what you want, but make it presentable and as appetizing as you want when it travels 10 to 20 minutes away. And to help, after that gets done, the way that we help maximize the life on the food once we figure out those menu changes and how they want to do it is that me and my dispatch team, every order that comes in, we're either calling it in or we're sending it to the restaurant's tablets that we provide or they provide themselves. And we're timing it out because on our dispatch map, we can see where all the drivers are at. And we can see like, all right, driver A, it's going to take him about 10 minutes to get up to his drop point, and he's about 5 minutes from this next pickup. So that's 15 minutes. I know that this restaurant has about a 15 to a 20-minute cook time. We can send it now so that when he arrives, it'll be closer to being done, and we don't send it straight away so it doesn't just sit around and get more dead time on the food, because dead time on food's not good for the customer, the restaurant, or us as delivery service. So we're trying to maximize that alive time. And as soon as it gets done out of the kitchen, we want it to get to one of our hot bags with the driver and then head off to the customer.
Excellent. And so I'm also a little curious to hear your thoughts on what you would kind of say to some of these business owners that maybe haven't taken up any sort of delivery service or don't offer delivery, especially looking kind of down the road. So some of these who might think that it's kind of too late, or they're kind of behind the ball, or they just might be trying to wait out, this kind of period while we're still in this pandemic. But what would you kind of say to some of those people that haven't quite, taken on this step?
Uh, I think anymore having a delivery service of some kind, whether it be your own or a third party, is going to be really important. Just because this is kind of the paradigm that we're in right now. Even after everything passes and we kind of go back to normal life, there's going to be this 9 months, 12 months of our lives that we've been stuck in our business, in our homes, or in our residences, kind of secluded, and our only option has been like very minimal dine out. Um, there's going to be those habits that are forming, and it's never too late to hop into the delivery game. Um, or I would say, obviously, the sooner the better, because restaurants need to be getting some cash flow coming in to help sustain the bills that are accumulating. Because I know a couple of the restaurants still have to pay, still the rent still due, and if you haven't saved up the savings for it, it's gonna be a rough winter. But just sooner the better. Kind of pivot your menu a little bit if you can to focus more on like carry out slash delivery friendly food. Um, if you ask your customers, they'll come. Just look at what happened with Lucky You Lounge last night. They put out a post saying, "Hey, we have 4 days, and then we're going to close down for the remainder of this until we can go back to dine-in." And I know by 5 o'clock opening, we already had I think we had 8 pre-orders for them. On top of I think they had like 50 pre-orders. So I mean, if you ask your customers, they'll come knocking either way for delivery or carry out.
That's great to hear. Actually, I just saw that post. That's great to hear that it was responded to. So I guess along those lines, or a slight shift in topic, but what can you just talk about some of the consumer trends you've seen, or just what you've seen kind of pre-shutdown way back in March, and then now that it's been about 9 months, kind of how you've seen when we were first shut down initially, then we were kind of open again, and now we're sliding back into winter.
Mm-hmm.
We're back, into this closed for indoor dining for probably an indeterminate amount of time again. What have you kind of
Yep.
seen, and how have the businesses that have taken up your services kind of responded, and how are they benefiting?
Hmm. Uh, I know that when March first rolled around, we had a big influx of growth in our restaurants, which meant that we had a lot of customers coming in and out. Um, and for us as a delivery service, we got a lot of that traffic because there are a couple of our restaurants who would mainly just use us, because like the 15% is the lowest that anybody's offering, and that helps spur that. Plus, customers being able to talk to somebody helps out a lot. Um, as far as overall, I know that, well, obviously everybody's shifting to takeout and delivery, but since March, I know that we've had quite a few new customers who have become regular customers. Um, and I know that I've had phone conversations with customers quite a bit who will call and be like, "Hey, can you recommend something, something, something along these lines? I like this restaurant. Is there something else in town that's similar to this?" Um, but yeah, it seems like they're doing a lot. It just seems like, yeah, it kind of goes back to what I said before. Like the restaurants who use us and push for us on their platforms respond in the same way that like Lucky You's posted last night. They're like, "Hey, we we want you to order from this service." They'll come and they'll order from us because of that relationship we have with restaurants.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I never really thought about a delivery service having regulars, which is an interesting concept to me. But I think one that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a good thing to hear and kind of an interesting concept.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't want to really lead the lead the question here, but do you anticipate, like I said, delivery kind of? Do you anticipate people continuing this, or people kind of customers to continue using delivery even as things open back up, or as we get into the spring and summer again?
Yep. And I think that's just going to be kind of inherently with the habits that we're forming now, just in this last 9 months. I've noticed that with customers in the past, if you can get them to order about 3 times on your platform or in the method that you want them to order, um, then they'll keep coming back. So, if, like with most of our customers, if I can see them return 3 times, and I know that they're satisfied all 3 times, that they're going to keep using the service. And we've seen that quite a bit. Plus, we see new customers coming in all the time because when we get orders, it pings us and it's like, hey, this is a new customer. Just kind of pay attention to how many new people we get per day. And then we can also kind of, we as dispatchers, we start to recognize names, phone numbers, delivery addresses, and we see the same people pop up and up time and time again. But yeah, I think delivery is going to be here to stay for long term.
Excellent. So I know you kind of touched on this right at the start, but if you could you just kind of give a walkthrough if a business owner was looking to sign up for Treehouse, just kind of overview how they would do that, and kind of what the process is like?
Yep. So with us, 2 different ways. One is kind of me going out and kind of cold calling restaurants because I do a lot of stuff like in person. Um, I've been pivoting into a lot more phone calls lately, but essentially, if I'm going out, I'll kind of look at restaurants and I'll go and recruit and I'll bring out one of our packets with all the information about how everything operates. But if they're looking to come to us through our website, there's a vendor sign up, and they could go and put in their information, and then I try and do it within a day or two by sending them out an email with the same packet of information, along with my phone number. But I think our emails have been getting flagged as spam lately. Um, so some restaurants receive them, some don't. I think it depends on who their email provider is, but we send that out. They kind of look it over, and I'm like, hey, just here's my cell phone number. Give me a call whenever you have a chance to look it over, and if you have questions, just let me know, and I can answer them. Uh, and then after that, after we get them signed up and they're interested, I kind of I need to ask them for their menu so we can look it over. And then I send them a list of questions for like, hey, what kind of options do you want on these? Because we kind of want to optimize the menu so that if a customer picks an item, the same choices pop up on that item as like a waiter or waitress would ask in the restaurant when they're taking the order. Like, hey, what kind of modifiers do you want? What kind of toast? What you order toast? What kind of bread do you want? How do you like your eggs? What temperature do you like your meat? Stuff like that. That way we can kind of zero that in. And then as we continue working with the restaurants, we do the same thing where we start to take notes when we place the orders with the restaurants themselves, and they start to ask us questions like, hey, what kind of spice level did they want? And that way we can fine tune those menus. After that's done, we do a couple test orders. If they want it called in, we'll do like a mock call. Be like, hey, Neil Treehouse, or here's how the calls will look. Hey, it's Neil Treehouse. I have order number 1 for you. Here's what it is. Da 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 da. And then once everything's zeroed in and they're good to go, they just give me a start date and get the ball rolling.
Awesome. Well, we are coming up just about at our time. So I see Jeff, you're online. If you have any questions, you can feel free to hop off mute or ask those. Otherwise, Neil, I guess, is there anything else that you would just like to say to kind of the business owner community of Spokane? Or busy, I can tell.
No, just keep right. We're getting to that time.
Yeah.
Not really. Just keeping on. Do what works for you guys. And then if you guys do go with delivery, just make sure that you're getting the best deal and being able to make money off of it instead of just letting it kind of be a marketing write-off, because every dollar counts right now.
Excellent. And Jeff, it looks like you've got a question.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're slowly but surely starting to limit our hours of operation, being that what we can afford and optimizing the time that people actually order food from us. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with our place, the Monterey Cafe. Um,
I,
so we do
I do know the
pizzas.
Monterey Cafe.
Yeah, and so we are, we've always contemplated about doing delivery, but we're a big walk-in, order food because you're probably doing alcohol, beer, singing karaoke. And we've always wanted to do delivery, but you kind of answered my question when you guys talked about the post that the Lucky You Lounge did where they're only doing the one day and then being closed later on. Um, what's the standpoint? How does it work if I have so many fluctuating hours depending on what the government does lately?
It's easy enough for us to change. You just you can either, because when you sign up with us, you get my cell phone number, so you can just text me to and be like, hey,
Okay.
hours are changing to this. Owners do it all the time, and also you can just call and dispatch, and if that always gets forwarded to my cell phone or to people who are in the office taking calls. But right now I'm having everybody work from home because everybody's getting that kind of cold, and I'm like, I don't even want to risk it. You guys just stay home.
Hmm.
But yeah, cell phone. You would get my cell phone number to text me. Email also works. Office number, any number, different ways.
All right, cool. Well, I'll probably be
Or
reaching
even
out
when
to
we,
you
or
here.
even, or perfect. Yeah, and
Go,
even like if we were to call in an order, just if your staff just lets us know like, hey, we're closing at like 7 tonight. We can just do it right then. That's also why we keep notes too, because same thing happened back in March where everybody's hours and menus are fluctuating almost on a weekly basis. It feels like.
okay, cool. It's good to know. I'll probably be reaching out here shortly, but surely, depending on what we do for the winter time, we might have to hunker down like a lot of people
Hmm.
do, but
Yep. And I know that I had a surprising one reach out to me the other day, and it was David's Pizza, and I think they dropped all the other delivery services because they weren't happy. And so we're trying to finalize his menu and get him up to date since he got it to us last
oh,
night.
cool.
So we have quick turnaround
That's
for you
good.
too. So
All right,
super easy.
sounds good.
It sounds like you were hesitant about delivery services before. Anything in particular?
We are before all this, we're a downtown place. People don't usually think about downtown for delivery. Getting a pizza 20 minutes away usually means cold pizza. There's so many other
Mm-hmm.
places to get delivery all over town if you just want pizza. Ours is kind of, I don't pull any punches on people. I tell them it's like it's a bait and switch. I want you to come in and order a pizza, and while you're here, you'll have some fun and then have some beers and spend more money hanging out.
Yep.
Um, it's kind of our little gig, come in for a slice, and now all of a sudden you're having a beer and some shots.
Yep.
So
I'm familiar with that location.
yeah, that's
Definitely
kind
what
of been the
happens.
thing. Yeah. So delivery hasn't been that big of a deal. We have all of our specialty pizza stuff, but we kind of really push the slice, take it, and go, or hang out a little bit. So
Yep.
we always push a local thing. I don't really have a Google website. We really enjoy the fact that we're kind of still under the radar as far as national advertising, the free
Mm-hmm.
advertising they give people. We get a word of mouth advertising that's good for us. We're not that big anyway. So,
Yep.
but we've had a lot of people ask about delivery though, even before all this. So it might be kind of time to make the jump.
Yeah, you guys have good pizza product, so I can see why.
All right, thank you.
All right, excellent. Well, yeah, Jeff, thanks for that, for jumping on with us. And I think we'll get going because we're right at about time here. But thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Neil, for being with us. We appreciate hearing from you. And if anyone watching this session, if you're interested in any of the upcoming 30 Minutes With, just keep an eye on our event calendar online. That's downtownspokane.org. We'll be updating the information as we lock in future presenters. This is going to be about 2 times a month. And if you are part of the Business Improvement District or a member to the Downtown Spokane Partnership and you're not getting our weekly e-newsletters but want to be on those, just reach out to me at kcampbell@downtownspokane.org and we can make sure you're signed up for that. So thanks again. Thanks, Neil. We appreciate having you and hope everybody has a good rest of the day.
Thank you.